Joining me now, Tina Freitas. Tina is running for state senate against Emmett Hanger, incumbent Republican, been there about 100 years. Let's see, did he vote in the Civil War or something like that? I think he's been there since Jimmy Carter was president. Might be time for change. She's closing in on Hanger. Started this campaign as a long shot. Just picked up the endorsement of Pete Snyder from Northern Virginia. He's doing a big rally for her in Arlington in a couple weeks. No, next week. And people I'm talking to on the ground there saying this race is tightening. A lot of people now saying she could pull the upset. She's with us now. Tina Freitas, you've come from nowhere to make this into a race. How'd you do it?
Well, thank you, John. Well, I did it by walking the leather off the soles of my shoes. We have been knocking doors every single day. I'm personally knocking 100 to 150 doors every single day. My team is knocking between 700 and 1,000. We're topping over 30,000 doors so far, with 60,000 doors by the time this is over, all to win about 8,000 votes.
Now, when you say you're knocking on doors, I always find this fascinating when candidates actually do that. And there's a lot of misnomers out there because some turn into just literature drops, basically. But
no.
when you knock on doors, like, are you actually talking to voters?
I am talking to voters personally every single day. So is my team. We are discussing what the policy positions are in our district, as well as how we have been represented down in Richmond. And what we're finding is a lot of people don't realize what kind of votes have been taken in their name. And they have been told time and time again. In fact, Hanger is dropping, littering the entire place with mail, trying to, he's washing us down with mail, trying to wash away his record. And he cannot do that because his record it's all a matter of public record. It's all out there in the open for everyone to see. So there's no way he's going to be able to wipe that away. He's trying to show that he's pro-life, 100% he's saying, which is absolutely untrue. If you look at his voting record, it tells a completely different story. He's saying he's 100% pro-Second Amendment, and then he will turn around and say, but we need this restriction and that restriction, and, well, we can't trust you to carry, discreetly. So, when it comes down to it, I think the people are finally becoming aware of the truth. And that's what our goal is just to get the truth out to them, because once we do, they're mine at the door. If I talk to you at the door, I have about a 90 to 95% chance that you'll be mine when I walk away.
Let me ask you something. When you're talking to voters and you just go into your home, and I always find this fascinating, Tina, and I ask, I'm also deeply covering the Democratic primary in the 16th district, which is Petersburg. And so I asked Joe this question, Morrissey, almost every 2 days. What are people saying? Like, and I don't mean the hardcore, but, you knock on somebody's door and they're semi-engaged, they kind of know what's going on. And you say, hey, there's a primary. And they're like, really? Who are you? And you get into a conversation at the kitchen table or at their doorstep. What are they saying that's on their mind? What's bothering them?
Yes. Number one is that they cannot believe that Emmett Hanger has compromised on life in so many different ways, between arguing against the Hyde Amendment and arguing to rip it out of the budget on the floor of the Senate on video. Between that, sending millions of taxpayer dollars to the largest abortion provider in America, as well as voting for the ERA, which is really just a Trojan horse for NARAL and Planned Parenthood to force taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up till birth. That is the biggest issue that anybody in my district is up in arms about. On top of that, then, it is the Second Amendment issues, the tax hikes, and Obamacare expansion. Just all the way across the board, none of that plays well. It all pulls really badly. We've had a poll done, and that's why we feel so confident in how we're doing. In fact, when I come to a door, a lot of times, people don't even look at what Emmett Hanger's record is. They just go, well, it's time for new blood. He needs to go. And these are people that have been voting for him for ages and ages. Mm-hmm. I've got his family members, some of his family members voting for me. I've got people who have known him all their lives voting for me that have never thought to do that before because his voting record has just gotten so bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I think the latter of what you just said is probably one of your biggest assets here. Is a lot of people are just getting tired of these career politicians that have been there forever. It's just time for change. You mentioned life and abortion several times here in this conversation, so I've got to ask you this question. The bills that were passed in specifically in Alabama, which is even tougher than Georgia, so I'm going to go with that. The Alabama bill and what now could be the Louisiana bill. Alabama bans any form of abortion after 6 weeks. A lot of women, Tina, don't know that they're even pregnant in 6 weeks, as you know. They just don't know. They find out after that. So, and that flies in the face of Roe v. Wade, which is a Supreme Court decision that was made in the 70s. If that similar bill came to your desk, and I ask the same question to everybody now, I have to ask it, came to your desk in 2020 as a state senator, would you be in favor of that or not in favor of it, or do you just think that is too restrictive as it stands now?
Well, first of all, the one point that you've got to keep in mind is that this bill does not even get enacted. It can't even be enforced unless Roe v. Wade is overturned. So, you know, all these people that are up in arms freaking out over this bill, they're just latching onto these talking points because they're trying to wrestle away, you know, the narrative, because so far the narrative has been, and here in Virginia, you can see that the culture is much further left with our leftists in charge of certain areas of Virginia. They are pushing for abortion all the way up to and after birth, if you talk to our Ralph Northam. I think that's the bigger question to be asking, but I will answer your question. I absolutely will value human life all the way, every single time. This is the deal. Right now, this is an argument between the left and also some on the right, too. They want to know, when is it okay? When can it be okay to dismember, maim, burn alive, or suffocate the most innocent and defenseless among us? That is what this argument is really about. That's what it is. They're saying, well, let's just figure out when it's okay to do that to a human being. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to have that conversation. What we need to do is start asking the people who've been the victim of that procedure. We have survivors. I could actually connect you with probably about 3 different survivors who could come on your show, and you can ask them what they think of this law.
Well, you know, it was Ronald Reagan who said it's amazing that everybody that is pro-abortion is already born. He said that back in the late 70s, I believe, Tina. But, you know, I guess what bothers a lot of us about this Alabama bill is it flies in the face of Roe v. Wade, and I believe in the rule of law, whether it's securing the border or otherwise. I just believe you have to follow the rules. That's the way the Republic is set up. And so you have a Supreme Court. They voted for this. I don't think states have a right to just overturn a law like Roe v. Wade.
Which is why it will take overturning Roe v. Wade to be able to enforce that law.
Right. And my point is, as it stands now, you're not going to be able to do that because you don't have the votes in the Supreme Court. If it came up tomorrow, or the next day, you don't have the votes because you have 2 justices that are not on the conservative wing that believe in precedent, and they've shown that consistently through their career. So it's not going to get overturned. So I guess my point is, when you look at polling, 70% of Americans consistently don't believe Roe v. Wade should be overturned. 80% think a 3rd trimester abortion under any circumstances except maybe rape or incest when you didn't know about it or something is absolutely unacceptable. So you've got the majorities of people on both ends saying, you know, I don't want to overturn the law, but the 3rd term, birth canal, out of the baby, that's crazy. It's too far. And so what Alabama's done is it's flipped the argument our way to their way. Why are we doing this now?
Well, I think the deeper question to ask, John, is why so many states are starting to change. And what it really is, you know, politics is downstream from culture. Our culture is changing. We are starting to value life again. And it starts with a few states. That's how abolition started. The thing is it wasn't always popular to say you couldn't own people. Well, right now, it's not popular to say you can't kill your offspring. Well, I'm sorry, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And eventually, our culture will come around to recognize this as an abhorrent, barbaric act. masquerading as some kind of cure for a pregnancy you don't want. Now, you want to sit here and talk about the 0.2% of cases. We can go ahead and do that. But meanwhile, the rest of the left and everyone, they want it all the way up to birth. So I'm sorry. I think we need to have the conversation that is glaringly obvious, and that is the fact that the left does not value human life, and they are notoriously soft on rapists and predators. And so when you're looking at this organization which capitalizes on the exploitation of women and basically re-victimizes them again while they're in crisis, they will sit there and cover up for an abuser. A lot of times it's the abuser that's taking the girl in to get the abortion to wipe away his evidence of abuse so that he can take her back and abuse her some more. And Planned Parenthood, they are a billion-dollar industry. They have made money hand over fist on this. And I don't know why nobody is talking about that side of the story.
We're with Tina Freitas. She's a candidate for state senate. She's running in a Republican primary against Emmett Hanger. He's the incumbent there. It's the 24th district, and that represents Augusta, Greene, Madison, Stoughton, Waynesboro, part of Culpeper, and Rockingham. For the record and complete disclosure, we have endorsed Tina Freitas in this race. I believe that even though we might not agree on every issue, I think we need new blood, new energy, and these people that have been there forever have to, it's just time for them to do something else. So we are in favor of Tina's challenge, and I think she is going to win this race. Tina, let's get to a couple of the other issues that are going to be facing Virginia. And specifically, I want to talk about Justin Fairfax. If you're in the Senate, based on what you just said, Justin Fairfax is going to preside over your body. You're just talking about things like abusing women and things of that nature. And, of course, we all know what he's been accused of. Nothing proved. It's all alleged. He's denied it. But how do you work with him if you're in the state Senate?
Well, I certainly respect the office, and that's what I'll have to do. But I do not respect the man because, so many strings have had to be pulled in order to keep these women silent and to keep them from getting a fair hearing of any sort. And these are women with nothing to gain from this. These are women on the Democratic side. He has admitted to having sexual relations with them. So so these are credible. These accusations are credible. And so the only thing that differentiates the two stories is they say it was not consensual, and he says it was. So I just have a hard time with this idea that the left is always going to believe women, except, of course, when it's their guy. So, this just goes back to the fact that they are notoriously easy on rapists and predators. You could go into the lieutenant governor's office, apparently, and stay. No one's calling for his resignation anymore. It's just ridiculous. So, no, I will absolutely respect the office because of the weight that carries. And but I'm not going to be silent about what I think has been done here. He is absolutely has a right to due process and everything like that. But public opinion is a completely different thing. And my personal opinion is that there is something wrong here, and these women should have been given a fair hearing, and the left blocked it every single time. So much for believing women.
Well, Eileen blocked it. Eileen Filler-Korn blocked it. Kirk Cox's speaker offered alleged victims a platform on several occasions, and the minority leader of the Democratic Party of the House of Delegates blocked it and wouldn't have anything to do with it. So, look, I'm running out of time here. Do you think Fairfax should resign today?
Absolutely.
Yes or no?
Absolutely. I think the entire executive branch should resign. They are an absolute laughing stock. They have made a mockery of the offices that they hold.
All right, we're out of time. I got to go to Tina Freitas. People want to donate. Where do they go?
They go to Tina4VA.com, Tina4VA.com.
All right. Look, go to Tina4VA.com, Tina4VA.com. Donate. Right now, anything you donate, guess what? Pete Snyder matches it. If there's anybody in America that loves to see Pete Snyder spend his money, it's me. Go to Parenthood.com. Put in $50. He'll match it up to $2,500. And then when you get there, we're going to make him match it to $5,000. I got to go.